Hello and welcome to another edition of The Week That Was, a weekly program where you get to sit back and review the headlines of the week. This week, as usual, we borrow the headlines from Herald, the voice of Goa. And to discuss these headlines and insights into and the news behind these headlines, I have with me the guest well known to everyone, our group editor, Mr. Sujay Gupta.
Thank you.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
To begin with, in April 17th on Sunday, we have a headline wherein the Forest Minister Vishwajit Rane says that there is no proposal regarding the tiger reserve before me, and he says that he doesn't require any advice from environmentalists. And following through this week on Wednesday 20th, we did a ground survey where we met people from Satari, and we took their opinion as to this issue about man-human conflict. And there we said that they have acknowledged, although the forest minister said that the tigers are not resident to Goa, here you have people from the area saying that the tigers are spotted very often there. But only thing they said, we have to settle their land rights first before you settle this issue of tiger reserve.
See, I think the whole issue is quite complex. The forest minister should be thanked for infusing a bit of humor into these days after elections when there's nothing much to laugh about. So the humor infusion should be actually welcomed rather than rejected. But on a more serious note, you see, the point here is we have to see what is the letter and spirit of the law. We have to read this along with directions that have been given and also actions that have been initiated by the Ministry of Environment and Forests and the NTSA, which is the National Tiger Conservation Authority.
Okay.
The point is we have to look into all these aspects and then come to a conclusion. You see, the basis of this is that having a proper forest corridor and having a tiger reserve is not only an issue which is related to Goa alone. All along, the issue is the general consensus amongst all right-thinking people, environmentalists, and even the government to a large extent, is that our biodiversity hotspots are under a lot of threat. And they need to be protected. And one of the reasons why this is under threat is that there's rampant deforestation going on, and also the natural habitats of wildlife are not getting protected in different areas. Of course, in Goa, the whole Western Ghats, eco-sensitive Western Ghats, fragile Western Ghats, and the whole Satari belt needs to be looked at very, very seriously. And as we have also mentioned in subsequent articles, there was another article which we have not referred to, but it was there in one of our stories, where we actually showed different documents, right from the time when Jairam Ramesh first wrote to Digambar Kamath, asking him to set up a tiger reserve, post which the NTSA also wrote to the government, and most importantly, the principal chief conservator of forests wrote to the deputy chief conservator of forests to initiate and fast track contiguous forest areas, post which a tiger reserve would be constituted. So what the forest minister is saying, very honestly and very surprisingly, goes against actions that have already been initiated by the system, as it were.
Yeah.
And of course, the second story that you referred to, yes, the man-animal conflict is very much there. We need to see that everybody exists in the same ecosystem properly. But what is also important is that the issue is that these forest dwellers' rights need to be protected. But we have to see that they may be protected in a manner that the forest areas are not disturbed. Alternate areas and lands can be demarcated, lands can be given to them, and they can carry on their activities. So these are things that need to be looked at. But you cannot run away with the whole issue with a remark which is less than serious and bordering on frivolous, saying that you don't have resident tigers and non-resident tigers, because that itself has sparked up a lot of memes and a lot of issues there. So a lot of fun and games are happening, but the matter is very serious.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to April 18, we have a headline in the Herald. On Easter Sunday, there were two horrific incidents that took place which spelled doom for two Goan families. One of the incidents is the murder of a 76-year-old in Ambeli by his own daughter, and the second one is with regard to a speeding vehicle which hit a two-wheeler where the husband died and the wife is in a critical condition.
Correct. I'll first talk of the Valley incident and then go on to the other one because that needs a little more discussion. The Valley incident, of course, is very sad because this is the second or third incident in the last 2 to 3 months where a child or where an offspring has been allegedly killed their own parent.
Yeah.
We had this incident in Varka where that story is still there. We went and we actually broke that story where the daughter is alleged to have killed the father, and now we have this incident. Of course, people say that this particular child was not in her senses, in the sense that had a lot of issues and was challenged and all that. But nevertheless, it's a sad story. You cannot blame the system. It's just that our society has become such, and these incidents are coming out, or we are getting to know more of it because of the social media and the increased media presence. But nevertheless, what happened on that day, especially on Easter Day, is absolutely shocking. Coming to the other issue, which is far more serious, it's a plain case of rash driving. Could be drunken driving because the results of the alcohol test are still awaited, but suspected drunken driving, but rash nevertheless. And you have people from obviously influential families, given the nature and the make of the car that they were driving and all that.
Yeah.
Plus, it has now come to light as to who was behind the wheel of the car, who is friend sitting over. So it is sad. We are still investigating into it, and we don't want to jump the gun. But what is important is that there appears to be a little bit of an effort not to hide information and not let enough information come up. Because at the end of the day, a person has died. Maruti Sawant was 69 years old. What was his fault? At 6:45 a.m. he was just going out with his wife on a scooter to get knocked down in this kind of a manner. And obviously, so this needs to be curbed. We have come up with a lot of rules and fines, and the government has done a lot to penalize the common man. You need to pay 10,000 rupees if you're not carrying a license, and so on and so forth. The common man is really kind of taken to task, maybe rightly so, but there are very harsh fines to be paid on one hand. On the other hand, what happens is, when you knock down somebody and kill a person, the response of the system needs to be much faster. One is not going too much into details of this particular case because we are also, like the police are investigating, we are also investigating. A lot of things need to come out, but yes, on the face of it, obviously very, very sad.
Also, what is of concern is that now the alcohol test, which was supposed to have been done by the North Goa District Hospital, the result has been arduously delayed.
It is so surprising. All you need to do is you need to do a blood test to see the amount of alcohol which is there in your blood system. It's very simple. It is not a test that takes 7 days. It need not take 7 days. All you need to do is, it's very clear. It's called it essentially calculates the amount of alcohol which is in your system. All you need to do is to figure out that whether the alcohol in your bloodstream is more than the normal amount or not. That's all you need to determine. Okay, and these tests can be done within hours. It doesn't take 10 days. Because we must understand what is happening. When you're consuming alcohol, your liver processes it. If you're consuming more than the amount that the liver can process, that blood, instead of getting into the liver, it moves into the bloodstream. And all you need to figure out is whether the bloodstream has more alcohol per part than what is necessary. So it's very simple. But why does the Azilo hospital have to take 6 days or 7 days and you have no clue where the reports are coming from? Yesterday our reporter spent 3 hours in the Azilo hospital outside the lab, and the lab assistant wasn't there. So obviously there is a delay. And nobody is bothered. The police, the PI is complaining, or the constable is complaining that we need to go on reminding Azilo to give the report and give it to us. There has to be a time-bound delivery system so that cases are not jeopardized. If reports come so late, then cases will get weaker and weaker.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to April the 19th, we have a headline about 16B, the very controversial amendment which was made to the TCP Act. Vishwajit's landmark decision makes all 16B approvals as good as zero till further notice. And also he has hinted at suspension of the ODP, the outline development.
If the intention is good, it's a great decision. What needs to be figured out is if the intention is good. If the intention is good, if you have scrapped all of them looking into it, there is a positive side to it, because one needs to see that out of the entire conversions that have happened, how much is actually true, how much is not genuine, how much is genuine, because the spirit of the 16B, the supposed spirit of the 16B, was to set right what was wrong. It was not to do wrong instead of doing right. If any party was genuinely grievanced, that was the ostensible purpose, that 16B was brought in to do that. That was the declared purpose. But what has happened along the way is that the section has been completely misused. And the issue is, it has been used by a lot of parties to get plain and simple conversions out of turn conversions done. Now, if everything has been scrapped, if a serious look is done into this, if you look at this seriously, look at each and every case, look at it honestly, see what is genuine, see what is not genuine, put a hold on future conversions, then it's a positive sign. At this point of time, let's leave it at that. That if it is being done with a genuine purpose, one should welcome it. And then we'll see how it goes.
But even when this section was in force, and the BJP was in power the last time around, it was seen that even opposition MLAs or people from other political parties did not have a very serious objection to 16B.
Yeah, see, the thing is, in Goa, who's the opposition and who's the ruling? It all kind of, it is like the season. Somebody who's ruling today is an opposition tomorrow, somebody who's an opposition tomorrow who's ruling today, somebody who's an independent who fights against the government is supporting the government. So the point is, in Goa, the line between the opposition and the ruling has literally collapsed. So one is not surprised as to how these things happen.
Okay. On Wednesday, April the 20th, Herald has a headline, and this sudden issue which has cropped up, which was brought in by the new Power Minister Sudhin Davlikar. The issue that CM makes a declaration reacting to Sudhin's statement that Goa will purchase 120 megawatts of power from the open market. Now, was this a long-standing need? How did it suddenly come up after the ministry formation or after Sudhin Davlikar was made the Power Minister?
See, again, the issue of power shortage has been there for a very, very long time. The industry has spoken about this reduction of power shortage. What is important is not that. What is important is to understand why the power shortage is happening. The power shortage is not happening because Goa is not producing enough power, because Goa does not produce power at all. Goa buys all its power. Okay. So the issue is that when Goa used to buy power earlier, it used to suffice for the needs of everybody. There are two things that have happened. The total number of rampant and illegal connections have gone up, number one. Number two, there is something called power tapping, which happens absolutely rampantly. So there's large amounts of power which is consumed without any accountability, number two. And number three, what has also happened is distribution losses and line losses have jumped in a huge manner.
Okay.
All you need to do is to stop wasting the power that you have. It's basically like having a hole in the bucket. It doesn't matter how much of water you keep on pouring, the water will still be short if there's a hole in the bucket.
Yeah.
That is exactly what has happened in power. In simple terms, this is exactly what has happened. My point is, you can import 125 megawatts, you can import 250 megawatts also, you will still have a shortage if you do not get your distribution leakages proper. It's a very simple, there's no rocket science to it. And the point is, politicians have to see to it, because a lot of these things and leakages happen with the blessings of politicians. If politicians stop blessing these leakages, everything will get sorted.
Now, it is also the desperation from the industry is also seen from the fact that they are willing to pay extra for the power. When,
Again, I would like to point this out, and this is something that needs a lot of introspection. When you say industry, who represents the industry? Let's put it this way. Right now, the GSIA, the GCCI, and the Pharmaceutical Lobby Association, they have signed that letter and given it to the. Okay. Now, their claim is that the maximum number of high tension users. There are basically two kinds of users who are pulling power. One is HT and one is ETH, extra high tension, EHT. Extra high tension and high tension people are consuming this. Extra high tension, there are only 5 in the whole state, 5 consumers. High tension is roughly about 1147, if I'm not mistaken, something around that area. Okay. These are the consumers. Now we have to see whether these three associations who've written the letter, whether all the 1147 odd consumers come under that particular bracket or not.
Yeah.
There will be obviously a lot of other consumers who are, beyond that bracket. But let us say that majority of the people come under these three associations. We need to figure out whether everybody has agreed to it or not. The letter, of course, has been signed by all three on behalf of all the associations. Right now, I think the industry has agreed to this, and it's only for a short period, April, May, and June only. It's not as if they have promised to, pay for eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, what is happening is that this is a peak season. I mean, and power shortages are going to go up. So, and also, these are summer months when the load also, the consumption load increases. So, which is why right now they have absolutely no choice to do it. Okay. They're really crippled. Otherwise, they have to pay 30 rupees per unit to run generators. So, what is important is right now they've gone with the option which is cheaper, because it's going to add to their bill, not to the extent that it would if they had used generators.
Okay.
So in any way they would have to pay. If they're not agreed to this, they would have to pay 30 rupees per unit.
For diesel generators.
Yeah, for generators. So they have just opted this out because they couldn't, they had no option.
So April 21st, many of the people will be wondering why Herald left a blank space, and the banner headline which was there, "Harmony among people in Goa, Goa's jewel and can never be stolen." Now, in this, there are a lot of quotations from people, talking about this theme, where Mohandas Prabhudesai, for example, in his quotation here said, "I feel proud to say I belong to a state where we live as Goans and not as Hindus, Muslims or Catholic. My daughter-in-law is from a Catholic family. She has mingled well with us and our religion, and our son too participates in their festivities," and so on. So what is the purpose due to which Herald passed on this message with these quotations and with this symbolic gesture?
See, ultimately what happens is whatever Herald does, we do it because we look at what people talk and people bring to us. We just saw that off late there was a lot of overwhelming number of letters and quotations and people approaching us and speaking to us. Somehow people felt that it is perhaps a good time to speak about harmony amongst people, how Goa has been living. Maybe a lot of Goans are also reacting to what is happening at a national level and otherwise. So I think what Goans have rightly done is they have emphasized the harmonious nature and spirit of the society in a very nice way, and the blank space is for all to understand what it really is. But I think what is important is it just gives a relief. A space can be interpreted in many ways. The idea behind that space is let it be interpreted in any which way that people want to.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a clear mind, and people have expressed some very good thoughts there. We just left it at that. Sometimes it's very good to just be a platform for people to express good thoughts.
Without commenting?
Without anything. So I think that's what has happened. Good thoughts have come, and they are parked, and which is very very welcome.
Okay. On April 22nd, Friday, we have a headline where the Supreme Court reserved the judgment on the centrally empowered committee recommendations related to double tracking, and the judge was quite annoyed that the lawyer was absent and was not able to complete the hearing, and therefore the court has treated this case as the hearings are completed and has reserved the judgment.
Yeah, it's important in the sense that the judgment would have been delivered anyway. This is essentially to remind our viewers that this CEC, the Central Empowered Committee of the Supreme Court, was looking into the efficacy of all the three linear projects in Goa: the double tracking, the Tamnar projects, and the National Highway expansion. They have already spoken about the Tamnar, which was a very good decision about the Tamnar project, where they have said that the Tamnar line, the Tamnar corridor, power corridor, need not be disturbed. It can be the same corridor which was used for the earlier 220 kVA line.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the double tracking is concerned, yes, what they have done is the final hearing was supposed to take place, and the lawyer was supposed to turn up. The lawyer representing the Southwestern Railways, because what is important is that the three-judge bench gave a special hearing, and they came and met only to hear the lawyer of the SWR. It's not SWR, sorry. The agency is RVNL, Rail Vikas Nigam Limited, which is the authorized body which is carrying out the work of double tracking on behalf of the Southwestern Railway. So RVNL is the official body. So anyway, RVNL's lawyer did not land up there and did not appear for the hearing. So this obviously irked the honourable judges, and they reacted by saying, look, we have heard this, the hearing is over now, and we'll completely pass judgment on the CEC recommendations, which had a lot of very good important points to say, most important of which they said this double tracking is will actually harm the environment, heritage, land, and so on and so forth. So the CEC recommendations were actually very strongly against the double tracking to take place. Now it remains to be seen what finally the view that the Supreme Court takes, whether it will accept the CEC recommendations on double tracking like it did for Tamnar or not. So that is to be seen.
Okay. Among the many issues that Herald has been pursuing over the last few months, one of them is water in a very big way. And we have an article here about the people of Banaudi fighting for their ecosystem to preserve the Sal River here in particular, where the STP plant has been proposed in Kolva, and they are proposing to pump the treated sewage into the Sal River, and the fight of the Banaudikas to save this river.
It's a very good fight. It's a people's fight. The genesis again is with regard to treated sewage. There are two STPs, one in Nuve and one is in Kolva. Of course, the fact remains that yes, Goa Pollution Control Board has given consent to operate on each of these issues. They've also given permission to lay this pipeline from Kolva to this place in Benali, where the treated water is going to go into the Sal.
Yeah.
What is important is that what the villagers are saying is they are not against the sewage treatment plant per se.
Yeah.
What they are essentially saying is that you use the treated water and recycle it back into the system, which means the hotels and other tourism related enterprises which are actually generating most of the sewage.
Yeah, for landscaping and this purpose.
You can use it for landscaping. You can send it back to the water tanks, to the flush tanks. You can recycle that water, use that water for maybe non-drinking purposes, but all the other requirements that any establishment needs. So you can take it back, and that is exactly what has happened. If you see the Gurgaon model, the Gurgaon model basically recommends that the city of Gurgaon uses another 100 million liters MLD, another excess of 100 million MLD every day of treated water. They're using a lot of treated water every day. There is actually a campaign to increase the amount of treated water to go into the systems, into the offices, into the factories, everything in Gurgaon. The same model can be used here, because all you are saying is, see, in Gurgaon you're not taking that sewage water and dumping it into the Yamuna. You're not doing that, right? Yeah. You are basically recycling it and you're putting it back into the city's water system to do this. You can do the same thing here. There's no problem.
Okay, and Saturday, that is today, the Herald has the headline, the Goa has to finalize the coastal plans for 2019 in 2 months, and the pending CZMP 2011 plan also.
There is a further update on this. The 2011 CZMP is still pending, undoubtedly. The 2019 CZMP has to be done. All coastal states have finalized the CZMP 2019. Goa has not done it. Then the next is approval. First you finalize it and then you approve it. Goa, unfortunately, is stuck in the 2011 plan. Okay. What has now happened, one good relief out of this is, which we did not mention, but the important point is that the Environment Minister has, in the center, the Environment Ministry, has allowed Goa to go straight to the 2019 plan, finalize it quickly, and approve it, finalize it and approve it. So that whole thing of doing 2011 and then doing 2019 is cannot be done. Till the 2019 is done, the 2011 CZMP will be in force. But the point is, the 2011 itself is not in force. So Goa should now immediately fast track and do whatever it can to finalize 2019 in 2 months, so that the entire backlog is completely pushed back and you start on a fresh note.
Okay, so those were the headlines of the past week. And we hope that you enjoyed this program, catching up with the headlines if you have missed them, or to just rehearse them in your mind to find out what are the important issues that counted in the last week. So I thank my guest, Mr. Sujay Gupta, for being on this show, sharing his information, ideas and analysis about the news. We hope that you join us again for the next episode of The Week That Was. Thank you so much for watching The Week That Was.